This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with a daily wrestling news update. I uploaded a video from one of the Hannibal TV reporters, John Paz, interviewing Jimmy the Mouse of the South Heart. He rarely does interviews, so I suggest people check it out. I put the link in the description. John Cena is returning to the WWE. He's going to be wrestling on the upcoming WWE event in India, which supposedly Sony is sponsoring. So I assume they're paying whatever the extra is to have John Cena there. And he's also going to appear on the SmackDown from Hershey, Pennsylvania, Dr. George Zahorian's old stomping grounds on September 1st. Rampage did a 0.13 rating on Friday night. So NXT's been beating Rampage by quite a bit. WWE was in Ottawa Saturday and Laval, Quebec Sunday, which Laval, Quebec is like, you could call it a suburb of Montreal. Instead of going to Montreal, they went to the small arena in Laval. I asked a question. I'm not hating on WWE here. They had about 4,000 people for the house show in Ottawa from the reports I've read. But the thing that I find interesting is you can see the red seats or the untarp seats. I find it weird that they're willing to go out there and pay the extra arena labor to tarp off seats because arenas charge a lot for seats tarping. But I find it weird for house shows that they bother doing that. By the way, it was the exact same show in Ottawa as it was in Laval, all the same matches, all the same winners, which is interesting because it's only about an hour and a half away. There was another picture that I saw. Tom DeLonge tweeted this out back in 2016. His friend took that picture of a Bigfoot, alleged Bigfoot, right around the Oregon-California border, just to pop that up. But yeah, hope everyone's Raw tonight is in Quebec City, the first ever WWE taping in the history of Quebec City, which is hard to believe. I wonder if Rick Martel will make an appearance or not. He's been off the radar for years now. But anyways, there's also going to be a Les Thatcher interview that I'm going to post later tonight. Tomorrow, Chase Stevens from TNA and other places. Jack Kilby's an expert on him. He's going to be interviewing Chase Stevens, 7 p.m. Eastern. At 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, Ice Train, who no-showed his interview last week, apparently talked to Jack Kilby over the weekend, and he said he's going to not tomorrow, Wednesday. Tomorrow is the Chase Stevens interview at 7 p.m. Wednesday at 8 is the Ice Train. I've had some pretty good workouts today, and I also had a doctor's appointment that went fairly well, but I found out I severed one of my cranial nerves. So that's going to take me to see a nerve specialist. TNA still exists. I stopped watching a long time ago, around the time Tessa Blanchard won the men's title. I think AEW coming into existence pretty much wiped out interest in Impact and MLW. NWA is above MLW. I don't think NWA is above Impact. New Japan is under Impact, but above MLW and NWA as far as American popularity. But its ratings and attendance aren't great. But actually, New Japan, although Impact does better ratings, although I hear there may be some changes eventually with New Japan. Sorry, New Japan does better crowds than Impact. There was something I was reading lately about the television show of New Japan, but I won't talk about it because I don't know about it. But yeah, hope everyone has a great night. Enjoy Raw from Quebec City. By the way, speaking of TNA in Quebec City, I promoted the first ever TNA Canadian tour back in 2007, and Rick Martel was at the TNA show in Quebec City. Kurt Angle was wrestling Christian on that card, and Rick Martel ended up doing a run-in on the Johnny Devine match and putting the Boston Crab on Johnny Devine, and I believe that was the last in-ring appearance he ever did in Quebec City. And I remember we had about 17 to 1900, I believe it may have been 1900 in the building, which was great for a TNA crowd. However, they went to the 19,000 seat Colisée de Quebec, which is bigger than the place where WWE is going tonight. And I remember that Rick Martel wanted to do something on the show and contacted TNA about it, and they didn't want to put him on the poster. And they didn't want him to do any interviews to promote it or anything. And yet he ended up doing something on the show. So it was silly with Rick Martel being such a legend in Quebec. TNA has always been like that, not the greatest with promotion, but PCO was a French commentator at the time for TNA too. Now he's back with Impact. And they also had no interest in having him on the show, or Sylvain Grenier, who was fresh out of WWE. But they flew in like their low card talent from like Florida and other places. So they were always difficult to work with, but we did get good enough crowds for them to come back many, many, many more times. But that's a piece of trivia. I am the person that brought TNA to Canada for the first time. They went to Hull, Quebec, now known as Gatineau, Quebec, Montreal, the Pierre Charbonneau Center, and Quebec City. And I wrestled. They let me wrestle on the Hull, Quebec one, and it did help them get more publicity. And I also hooked them up with the Toronto arena that they went to the next time, which was in Oshawa, which they never even would have known about if it wasn't for me. But the city of Oshawa ended up buying that show, and then they came back the next time with a pay-per-view from Oshawa because it was so successful. Dino Bravo is from Montreal. Hello, Matthew. Anyways, I'm out of here. Just filling you guys in on that bit of history. Have a good night.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click